He almost didn't stop that night. The wind was freezing. The rain came down in sheets, and all he wanted was to get home. But something made him pull over. Something, or someone. Because lying there on the sidewalk, soaked to the bone and barely breathing, was a homeless man. And that man, the one everyone ignored, would soon save his life. His name was Daniel Graves, 42 years old, CEO of one of the fastest growing tech firms in New York. People called him a visionary, a self-made genius. But what most didn't know was Daniel wasn't living. He was surviving. Money, power, fame. He had everything people dream of. And yet somehow, nothing that made him feel alive. His wife had left a year ago. His father had passed without a goodbye, and he hadn't spoken to his only brother in 10 years. Every morning he stared at his reflection and wondered, when did I forget how to live? That night he was driving home from another business event, the kind filled with people who smiled at him for deals, not friendship. The city was drenched in rain, streets glowing gold and blue under the streetlights. Then out of nowhere, he saw movement. A shadow stumbled near an alley. He slowed the car. Something about it didn't feel right. He parked and got out, rain instantly soaking through his jacket. And that's when he saw him. A homeless man, mid-50s maybe, lying half-conscious on the ground. "Hey," Daniel called. "You okay?" The man didn't answer. Just a groan, a faint breath. Daniel knelt beside him, shaking his shoulder. "Sir, can you hear me?" The man's lips moved. "Cold. Please." Without thinking, Daniel took off his coat and wrapped it around him. He pulled out his phone and called 911. When the ambulance came, the paramedics said he'd likely have died in another hour. Hypothermia. Daniel followed them to the hospital, and something inside him refusing to just walk away. He waited in the hallway until a nurse told him the man would survive. "Does he have any family?" Daniel asked. The nurse shook her head. "None that we could find. No ID, no address." Daniel nodded slowly. "Then I'll cover his bills." For the next few days, Daniel visited him. The man's name was Samuel, though he preferred Sam. He had gray hair, kind eyes, and a voice that sounded like gravel mixed with warmth. He used to be a carpenter, he said, until an accident cost him his leg. Couldn't afford surgery. Couldn't work. The bills piled up, the home was lost, and the family drifted away. Daniel listened quietly, guilt flickering in his chest. He'd built software that made people rich, and yet here was a man who built homes, and lost his own days turned into weeks. Daniel found himself visiting Sam more and more. Not out of pity, but peace. He'd bring him coffee, newspapers, sometimes even books, and in return, Sam gave him something no one else did: honesty. One day, Sam looked at him and said, "You've got tired eyes, son. Not the kind that come from work. The kind that come from emptiness." Daniel laughed softly. "You see through people, huh?" Sam smiled. "You learn a lot when nobody looks at you." That line hit him harder than any boardroom speech ever had. When Sam was finally discharged, Daniel offered to help him find a place to stay. But Sam refused. "I appreciate it," he said, "but I'm not your charity project." Daniel shook his head. "It's not charity, Sam. It's respect." Sam smiled and accepted, on one condition: that you let me fix something for you someday. I may not have much, but I still have my hands. Daniel chuckled. "Deal." Weeks passed. Daniel got busier, buried again in deadlines and meetings. But something had changed. A small, quiet change. He'd begun volunteering at a local shelter, funding renovations, and spending time there on weekends. He told Sam once, "You reminded me what people actually look like." Sam grinned. "And you reminded me not all rich folks forget where they came from." Then one night, a year after they met, Daniel's life took a turn he never expected. It was past midnight when he left the office, exhausted, driving home along the same street where he'd found Sam. The rain returned, heavy and wild. Visibility dropped. Suddenly, screeching tires, a blur of headlights. The car in front of him spun out, crashing into the divider. Daniel slammed the brakes, but it was too late. Metal, glass, pain. Everything went black. When he woke up, he was in a hospital bed. His vision blurry, ribs aching, arm bandaged. He turned his head slowly and froze. Sitting beside him holding his hand was Sam. "You're awake," Sam said, smiling softly. "Took you long enough." Daniel blinked. "What happened?" Sam leaned back, exhaling. "You got hit. Your car caught fire. I was nearby. Saw it happen. You, you pulled me out?" Daniel stammered. Sam nodded. "Yeah, guess I finally got to fix something for you." Daniel's throat tightened. "You saved my life." Sam shrugged. "You saved mine first." Silence hung between them. Heavy, emotional, real. Then Sam added quietly, "We're even now." After that night, Daniel changed. He sold his company, not for money, for meaning. He launched a foundation, the Samuel Project. Its goal to help rebuild lives one at a time, giving work, shelter, and hope to people just like Sam. Sam became his partner, running the day-to-day, mentoring others, reminding Daniel every day of the lesson he'd nearly died to learn, that no matter how high you climb, you're never too high to reach back and lift someone else years later. At the grand opening of their biggest community center, Sam stood beside him. Reporters crowded around Daniel, asking questions about success, charity, legacy. He smiled and pointed to Sam. "You want to know who the real hero is? It's him. He saved my life. Not once, but twice. The first time, with his hands. The second, with his heart." Sam laughed, shaking his head. "You give me too much credit, son." Daniel replied softly, "No, I finally learned to give enough." When Sam passed away 3 years later, Daniel closed the entire foundation for a week. He sat at the same hospital bedside where they'd first met and whispered, "You said we were even, Sam, but you were wrong. I'll be paying this debt for the rest of my life, through every person I help." He placed Sam's worn carpenter's glove on the table beside a plaque that read, "In memory of the man who built hope with empty hands." Closing line. He was a millionaire, but it took a homeless man to teach him what real wealth was, a heart that gives, even when it has nothing left.